The 1980s were filled with unforgettable gadgets, habits, and everyday items that shaped how we lived, worked, and stayed entertained. From colorful shopping malls to family rooms lined with wood paneling, life felt simpler and a little more hands-on. But as technology advanced and culture shifted, many of these once familiar parts of daily life quietly faded away. Today, we look back at a time before smartphones ruled our routines, when paper, plastic, and patience played a much bigger role. Join us as we revisit 25 things that disappeared after the 1980s and the memories they left behind. Mall arcades with token buckets were once a defining part of American childhood in the 1980s. These glowing rooms filled with buzzing machines and neon lights were often the highlight of a trip to the mall. Kids rushed in with plastic cups overflowing with metal tokens, each one a chance to chase a high score or win a handful of tickets. The air was a mix of excitement and electronic beeps, and every corner held a new game to conquer. From pinball machines to bright racing cabinets, every visit felt like an adventure. The prize counter, stacked with colorful trinkets, seemed magical even if it took hundreds of tickets to earn something small. Families gathered here as a break from shopping, and groups of friends spent entire afternoons battling for bragging rights. But as home gaming systems grew more advanced, these arcades slowly vanished from malls across the country, leaving only fond memories behind. And while mall arcades brought excitement and energy, the next disappearing feature offered a more practical kind of everyday convenience. Drive-in bank tubes made banking feel futuristic long before digital services became common. You would pull up to the tall machines, place your paperwork into a clear canister, and send it soaring through a vacuum-powered tube with a satisfying whoosh. Inside the bank, a teller's voice echoed through a small speaker, greeting you and completing your transaction without you ever leaving the driver's seat. Parents appreciated the convenience, especially on cold winter mornings, and children often begged to be the ones to launch the canister. These tubes stood as symbols of a modern, efficient lifestyle at a time when most technology still relied on buttons and levers. They allowed families to handle everything from deposits to withdrawals without stepping inside a branch. But once online banking took over and fewer people needed in-person service, these tube stations slowly disappeared from drive-through lanes. And while bank tubes helped save time for countless families, the next disappearing practice helped them save a little money in an entirely different way. Grocery store glass bottle deposits were a familiar routine during weekly shopping trips in the 1980s. Families collected empty soda bottles at home and brought them to the supermarket, where customer service workers sorted them and issued small cash refunds. The clinking sound of bottles stacked in cardboard boxes was unmistakable, and the return counter often had long wooden shelves filled with crates awaiting pickup. Kids enjoyed helping because they got to keep the few spare coins earned from the returns. The system was simple and environmentally friendly, with bottles being cleaned, refilled, and reused by manufacturers instead of being thrown away. It added a sense of responsibility to everyday shopping and made recycling feel practical and rewarding. But as plastic containers replaced sturdy glass bottles and stores shifted away from manual return programs, this once common errand gradually disappeared. And while glass bottle deposits encouraged recycling long before it became widespread, another familiar sight once waited for people in almost every public space. Phone book stacks at payphones were once essential tools of navigation and communication. Nearly every payphone had a thick, frayed directory attached by a metal chain, filled with pages listing residential and business numbers. If someone needed a taxi, a plumber, or a friend's number, they would flip through the alphabetical pages to find the listing. The books were often weathered from years of use, with curled edges and handwritten notes, yet they remained reliable guides in a world without digital search engines. Travelers depended on them to find local services, and city streets, bus stations, and airports all featured these sturdy, chained directories. The feeling of flipping through thin paper pages while holding the heavy receiver created a rhythm that defined communication before mobile phones existed. But when the internet and smartphones replaced landline lookups, these phone books disappeared almost entirely. And while phone books helped strangers connect, the next disappearing feature helped families connect right inside their own homes. Wood-paneled family rooms were a warm and familiar backdrop in American households throughout the 1970s and 1980s. The dark, glossy panels covered the walls from corner to corner, giving living spaces a rustic and cozy atmosphere. Families gathered in these rooms to watch television, play games, or relax on oversized couches. Basements were often transformed into wood-paneled dens with built-in shelves, framed posters, and thick carpets that added to the comfortable feel. The paneling was affordable, easy to install, and perfectly matched the design trends of the era, creating spaces that felt both inviting and practical. Over time, interior preferences shifted toward brighter colors and open layouts, leading homeowners to paint over or remove the wood entirely. What had once been a common sight in countless living rooms slowly disappeared as decorating styles evolved. And while wood-paneled rooms shaped the character of many family homes, they were only one of many everyday features that faded away after the 1980s. Radio request call-in nights were one of the most exciting parts of listening to the radio in the 1980s. Long before playlists and streaming services allowed instant access to any song, radio stations created special nighttime programs where listeners could call the disc jockey and request their favorite tracks. Teenagers waited by the phone for the perfect moment, rehearsing what they would say before dialing the station again and again, hoping to get through. When the disc jockey finally answered, it felt like winning a small lottery. Many people dedicated songs to friends, crushes, or family members, turning the experience into something heartfelt and personal. Sitting by the radio afterward, waiting to hear your name and song announced, created a sense of anticipation that modern technology rarely recreates. The warm glow of the radio, the soft static between tracks, and the thrill of hearing your dedication created memories that lasted for years. But as technology changed and music became more accessible, these call-in nights slowly disappeared, leaving behind echoes of late-night requests and shared emotions. And while radio dedications connected people through sound, another disappearing tradition connected families through colorful pages filled with dreams. The Sears catalog wish list was a beloved tradition in many American households, especially during the holiday season. The massive catalog arrived in the mail with glossy pages filled with toys, clothing, furniture, and gadgets. Kids grabbed markers and circled everything they loved, building imaginary wish lists that stretched across the pages. Families used the catalog to plan purchases, compare styles, and explore items that stores did not always have on display. It felt like flipping through a world of possibilities, and many people saved the catalog throughout the year just to revisit the pictures. The sound of turning those thick pages, the excitement of seeing the latest trends, and the feeling of discovering something new made the catalog special. It was more than a shopping tool, it was a household event. But as online shopping replaced printed catalogs and stores evolved their marketing, this iconic book slowly disappeared from doorsteps across the country. And while the Sears catalog helped families dream about the future, another disappearing site helped them feel protected right in their own neighborhoods. Suburban neighborhood watch signs were once a familiar feature at the entrances of many American communities. These bold blue and white signs, often showing the silhouette of a watchful figure, served as a reminder that neighbors were looking out for one another. In an era when many families spent evenings outdoors and kids roamed freely between houses, these signs brought a sense of comfort and unity. They encouraged residents to report suspicious activity and stay alert, strengthening community connection long before social media groups and neighborhood apps existed. Many families remember walking or biking past those signs on their way home from school or during weekend outings. Over time, as neighborhoods changed, security systems advanced, and digital tools became the primary way communities communicated, these once familiar signs began to disappear. They now exist mostly as nostalgic symbols of a generation that valued in-person, watchfulness, and community spirit. And while neighborhood watch signs once guarded entire communities, another disappearing routine helped preserve memories inside grocery store aisles. Film development envelopes in grocery stores were a staple of everyday life before digital photography took over. Families brought rolls of undeveloped film to the store, filled out paper envelopes with their names, and dropped them into dedicated slots. The anticipation of waiting several days to see how the pictures turned out was part of the experience. Would the birthday shot be blurry? Did someone blink during the family portrait? The suspense was real. Grocery stores often had long shelves lined with yellow, white, or blue envelopes awaiting pickup, each one filled with a stack of prints and negatives sealed inside. Opening that envelope at home and flipping through the glossy photos felt like reliving moments all over again. But as digital cameras and smartphones replaced film, these development stations quietly disappeared from supermarkets. The ritual of picking up an envelope filled with memories gradually faded into the past. And while film envelopes captured family moments, the next disappearing feature captured something far more practical during everyday errands. Gas station full-service lanes were once a common part of fueling up in the 1980s. Drivers pulled into a marked lane and were greeted by attendants who handled everything for them. The attendant pumped the gas, checked the oil, cleaned the windshield, and sometimes even inspected the tires, all while the driver remained comfortably inside the car. For many families, it felt like a small luxury built into everyday life. Older Americans remember friendly conversations with attendants who recognized regular customers and offered helpful advice about car maintenance. Full service made travel easier, especially during harsh weather when stepping out of the vehicle was the last thing anyone wanted. But as self-service stations became the norm and full service grew more costly to maintain, these helpful attendants disappeared from most American roadsides. Today, the experience survives only in a few states, while the rest of the country remembers it as a part of simpler travel routines. And while full-service lanes once added convenience to every trip, many more everyday features from that time have also quietly faded away. Handwritten class notes passed during lessons were once a secret form of communication in classrooms across America. Before texting, instant messaging, or group chats, students folded pieces of notebook paper into small squares and slid them across desks with careful timing. Each note carried excitement, curiosity, or humor, and every delivery felt like a miniature mission. Some notes contained weekend plans, others carried inside jokes, and a few held heartfelt confessions that felt too risky to say out loud. The thrill was not just in writing the note, but in passing it without being noticed. Teachers always seemed to have a sixth sense for spotting wandering hands or sudden movements, making the process even more intense. The paper crinkles, the folded triangles, and the moment of unfolding the message created a small world of connection in the middle of a quiet classroom. But as technology advanced and communication became faster, the art of handwritten note passing slowly faded away, replaced by silent taps on touch screens. And while class notes carried secret thoughts from desk to desk, another disappearing tradition brought kids together under flashing lights and swirling music. Roller rink birthday parties were a cherished celebration throughout the 1980s, creating an atmosphere filled with excitement, bright colors, and upbeat music. Kids arrived in their best outfits, laced up their rental skates, and stepped onto the smooth wooden floor as disco lights danced overhead. A lively announcer played popular tracks while groups of friends skated in circles, laughing, wobbling, and occasionally stumbling into padded walls. Birthday hosts often received special treatment, including a spotlight skate or a chance to lead the conga line. After circling the rink, everyone headed to long tables decorated with balloons and plastic cups, where pizza, birthday cake, and paper hats awaited. The combination of music, movement, and friendship made these parties unforgettable. For many families, the local roller rink served as a social hub, where kids built confidence and young friendships flourished. But as entertainment options changed and many rinks closed, these lively celebrations became rare. And while roller rinks created memories filled with motion and music, another fading feature offered a quieter kind of magic in the heart of busy shopping malls. Small water fountains with coin wishes were once iconic landmarks within large shopping centers. These fountains sparkled under overhead lights, surrounded by curved railings or decorative tile that invited shoppers to pause and take a moment. Kids ran up with loose change, closed their eyes, and tossed coins into the shimmering water while making silent wishes about friendships, toys, or school dreams. The sound of coins hitting the water added to the soothing ambiance, and the fountain often became a meeting place for families navigating weekend errands. Some malls even decorated their fountains for holidays, turning them into festive attractions. Over time, however, changes in mall design, water maintenance costs, and shifting consumer habits led many of these fountains to disappear. The calm, magical moment of tossing a coin and making a wish faded with them. And while mall fountains created a peaceful escape in the middle of shopping crowds, another disappearing space offered a burst of excitement right inside neighborhood convenience stores. Convenience store video game corners were once a thrilling surprise for kids and teenagers who walked into local shops for candy or soda. Many stores kept one or two arcade cabinets near the entrance, glowing with colorful screens and chiming with familiar game sounds. These machines offered quick entertainment during short visits, whether it was a fast round of a space shooter or a few minutes on a classic maze game. Kids gathered around the cabinets, cheering on friends and waiting for their turn with a few spare coins. The small size of these corners made the experience feel intimate and spontaneous, unlike the larger arcades in malls. They created a sense of community, especially in small towns where kids visited the same store every day after school. But as home gaming systems grew more advanced and convenience stores updated their layouts, these little gaming spots slowly disappeared. And while convenience store cabinets delivered bursts of fun in passing moments, the next fading tradition brought neighborhoods together in a sweeter and simpler way. Neighborhood lemonade stands were once a beloved summertime activity for children across America. When the weather warmed and afternoons stretched long, kids set up folding tables decorated with hand-drawn signs, colorful cups, and big pitchers of homemade lemonade. The entire process felt empowering, from mixing the ingredients to deciding on the price and proudly serving each customer who stopped by. Neighbors walked over to support the stand, offering coins and friendly conversation, making kids feel like small business owners. These stands taught responsibility, creativity, and confidence, turning quiet streets into cheerful gatherings. For many adults, those childhood stands remain one of their earliest memories of entrepreneurship and community connection. But as neighborhoods changed, traffic increased, and fewer families felt comfortable allowing kids to set up along the sidewalk, the tradition gradually faded. Today, lemonade stands survive mostly as nostalgic symbols of long, carefree summers. And while lemonade stands captured the sweetness of childhood, many more everyday pieces of the past continue to slip away with time. School cafeteria token lunch programs were a familiar part of daily life for many students before digital systems replaced them. These programs used small plastic or metal tokens that represented prepaid meals. Parents purchased a bundle of tokens, and students carried them in their pockets, pencil cases, or backpacks. When lunchtime arrived, kids lined up with trays in hand and handed their token to the cashier, who dropped it into a metal box with a loud clink. The tokens came in different colors to distinguish meal types, and some schools used them as a way to speed up the lunch line or reduce the need for cash handling. For students, the tokens added a sense of independence and responsibility because losing them meant going without a meal or needing a note from home. Over time, as technology advanced and school systems adopted electronic cards and automated accounts, the colorful tokens vanished from cafeterias. What was once a simple and hands-on approach to school meals became fully digital. and while cafeteria tokens taught responsibility in small ways, another disappearing feature once filled the air with something far less healthy during everyday travel. Airplane cabin smoking sections were a striking reminder of how different travel used to be. In the 1980s, many planes designated the back rows as smoking areas, separated from the rest of the cabin by nothing more than a small sign or curtain. The faint smell of cigarette smoke drifted through the air, mixing with the scent of airline meals and recycled cabin air. Passengers lit up shortly after takeoff, and ashtrays were built directly into the armrests. For some travelers, it felt normal, but for others, especially families with young children, the lingering smoke made flights uncomfortable. Flight attendants spent much of their shift navigating these mixed environments, managing requests from both smokers and non-smokers. As health concerns grew and regulations changed, airlines began phasing out smoking areas and eventually banned smoking altogether. The disappearance of these sections dramatically changed the atmosphere of air travel. And while smoking areas once filled the air with smoke, another fading sight filled roadside stops with bright colors and endless possibilities. Roadside tourist brochure racks were once a highlight of road trips in the 1980s and early 1990s. Rest stops, diners, motels, and gas stations often featured large spinning racks packed with glossy brochures advertising theme parks, caves, museums, zoos, and local attractions. Kids eagerly grabbed handfuls of brochures, flipping through colorful photos of roller coasters, scenic trails, and gemstone mines. Parents used them to plan spontaneous stops or learn about hidden destinations they had never heard of. The racks brought excitement to long drives, offering a sense of discovery and adventure. The brochures were free, easy to collect, and often ended up stuffed into glove compartments or scrapbooks. But as smartphones and GPS apps took over, fewer travelers relied on physical brochures to guide their trips. The once-packed racks became sparse or disappeared altogether. And while brochure racks helped families explore new places, another disappearing tradition taught kids important lessons through short messages squeezed between afternoon cartoons. After-school public service announcement moments were a staple of weekday television for children growing up in the 1980s. These short, impactful segments appeared between cartoons and educational programs, delivering messages about kindness, safety, honesty, and responsibility. Many kids remember the familiar jingles, thoughtful characters, and memorable catchphrases that encouraged making good choices. These announcements often felt like friendly reminders from older siblings or teachers, offering guidance without feeling overwhelming. They covered topics like fire safety, healthy habits, or staying away from dangerous situations, helping children understand the world around them. The combination of colorful animation and simple storytelling made the lessons easy to remember, and some lines became iconic among an entire generation. But as cable television expanded, programming schedules changed and streaming services removed traditional commercial breaks, these short moral lessons faded from the screen. And while public service announcements taught kids how to behave responsibly, another disappearing feature once taught shoppers how speakers and headphones truly sounded before buying them. Free sample trays at electronics stores offered a hands-on experience that shaped how people explored new audio technology. In many electronics shops, customers could test cassette players, headphones, radios, and even early compact disc devices by listening to sample tracks played through store equipment. Rows of devices sat on display tables, each wired to speakers or headphones, inviting customers to compare sound quality or discover new music. Shoppers pressed large plastic buttons to switch tracks and adjusted dials to find the perfect volume. Kids loved experimenting with the gadgets, even if they had no intention of buying anything. The sample trays made electronics shopping feel interactive and exciting, especially during the holiday season when stores were filled with crowds. But as retail environments changed and devices became more sealed, compact, and security-focused, these open sample stations disappeared from most stores. Modern displays rarely offer the same level of hands-on exploration, And while electronics sample trays once filled stores with curiosity and sound, many more familiar parts of everyday life continued to vanish as the years moved forward. Department store portrait studios were once a beloved part of family life throughout the 1980s. These studios, often tucked into the back of large department stores, offered affordable and professional photo sessions for families, couples, and children. Parents carefully dressed everyone in their best outfits, often coordinating colors or matching patterns, before heading to the store for the yearly portrait. Inside the studio, bright backdrops, soft lighting, and friendly photographers helped capture the perfect pose. Kids remember the squeaky toys and silly jokes used to coax smiles, while parents recall the anticipation of choosing prints from proof sheets laid out on a counter. The final portraits ended up framed on living room walls, mailed to relatives, or saved in albums that documented the passing years. These studios made photography accessible long before smartphones allowed instant photos. But as digital cameras became more common and photography grew more casual and convenient, the need for in-store portrait sessions faded. The once busy studios slowly disappeared from department stores across the country. And while portrait studios captured treasured family moments, another disappearing item from corner stores captured something much smaller and far more playful. Candy cigarettes at the corner store were a familiar treat for kids growing up in the 1980s. These chalky white sticks came in small cardboard boxes designed to look like real cigarette packs, complete with colorful logos and flip-top lids. Some varieties even had a thin layer of sugary powder inside so that a puff from the mouth created a tiny cloud resembling smoke. For children, the appeal was not the imitation of smoking, but the feeling of carrying something that looked grown up. Kids traded flavors, compared brands, and tucked the boxes into their pockets just like adults with the real thing. Corner stores kept them near gum and trading cards, turning them into an impulse buy during after-school visits. Over time, concerns about imitation products and shifting cultural attitudes toward smoking led to a decline in candy cigarettes, and they disappeared from most store shelves. And while these sweets offered a playful taste of pretend adulthood, another disappearing feature offered real style and flair on the front of American cars. Automobile hood ornaments once added a touch of elegance to vehicles across America. These shiny metal emblems, mounted proudly on the front of the hood, served as both brand symbols and decorative features. Drivers recognized them instantly, from soaring birds to leaping animals and sleek, geometric designs. Many ornaments caught sunlight in a way that made the car feel luxurious and eye-catching. Kids riding in the back seat loved using the emblem as a guide while looking down the road, imagining the ornament leading the way like a tiny mascot. But as car designs evolved, safety regulations tightened, and manufacturing styles shifted toward smoother, aerodynamic shapes. Hood ornaments began to disappear. They became less practical and more expensive to produce, causing many companies to embed logos directly into the grille instead. Today, these ornaments are mostly found on vintage cars and in collector showcases. And while hood ornaments once decorated the roads, another disappearing tool decorated classroom lessons in a very different way. Classroom overhead projector sheets were once essential teaching tools in schools throughout the 1980s. Teachers wrote notes, diagrams, and vocabulary words on clear plastic transparencies, then placed them on a glowing projector that cast the image onto a screen or wall. Students watched as the teacher slid new sheets into place or used dry erase markers to write in real time, creating a unique rhythm of instruction. The hum of the projector's fan and the warmth of the light were comforting classroom sounds, and many students remember taking turns cleaning the transparencies or organizing them into folders. The system was simple, durable, and easy to use, making it perfect for lessons, quizzes, and group activities. But as digital projectors, computers, and smart screens became more common, overhead projectors and their transparent sheets faded from classrooms. The familiar click of a transparency being laid onto the glass slowly disappeared, And while overhead projector sheets once helped teachers bring lessons to life, another disappearing part of education focused not on classrooms, but on doorsteps across America. Encyclopedia salespeople were once a common sight in neighborhoods, offering families large, beautifully bound sets of reference books. These door-to-door salespeople carried sample volumes, demonstrating the value of owning a complete encyclopedia for school reports, research projects, and general learning. Families often saved for months to purchase a full set, which became a centerpiece of many living room bookshelves. Kids used the volumes to explore topics ranging from planets to presidents, flipping through pages filled with photographs, maps, and detailed explanations. The salespeople presented the books as an investment in a child's future, appealing to parents who wanted to provide the best educational resources available. But as libraries grew more accessible and the internet transformed how information was found, the role of encyclopedia salespeople declined rapidly. Doorbells rang less often with promises of knowledge contained in heavy volumes. And with the end of this tradition, yet another piece of everyday life from the 1980s quietly slipped into history. Bowling league sign-up sheets on grocery store bulletin boards were once a familiar part of community life in the 1980s. Near the entrance or beside the customer service counter, grocery stores often hosted large corkboards filled with colorful flyers, handwritten notes, and seasonal announcements. Among them, bowling league sign-up sheets were some of the most eye-catching. They listed team names, start dates, and open spots waiting for anyone eager to join. Adults browsing the produce aisle would sometimes wander over, read the notices, and jot down their names on the dotted line. Joining a league felt like becoming part of a friendly neighborhood tradition, offering weekly games, shared laughter, and casual competition. These sheets represented a time when communities connected in person through simple sign-up forms pinned with thumbtacks. But as digital communication grew and local leagues began organizing online, these handwritten sheets slowly disappeared from store walls. And while grocery store bulletin boards once inspired people to roll strikes with friends, another disappearing relic helped readers check out books with a satisfying thump. Public library stamp cards were a charming part of visiting the library before digital systems took over. When checking out books, librarians opened a paper card pocket glued inside the back cover and stamped the due date in bold ink. The sound of the date stamp hitting the card created a sense of ceremony, marking the start of a quiet adventure waiting between the pages. Children especially loved watching the stamp come down and leave its neat imprint, signaling their turn to bring the story home. Many readers looked back through the stamped dates to see how many people had borrowed the book before them, each stamp representing a small piece of the book's history. As technology evolved, scanners and computerized checkouts replaced the paper cards, making the familiar stamping ritual disappear. The soft crack of the stamp and the flipping of card pockets became memories from a gentler time in library culture. And while stamp cards documented the journey of a well-loved book, another disappearing piece of the past brought late-night movie magic to local televisions. Local television creature feature hosts were once treasured personalities on weekend television. They introduced late-night horror films, science fiction classics, and campy monster movies with humor, flair, and a touch of theatrics. These hosts dressed in elaborate costumes, used dramatic voices, and delivered playful commentary before and after commercial breaks. Their sets were decorated with cobwebs, laboratory props, or Gothic furniture, creating an atmosphere that felt equal parts spooky and entertaining. Watching a creature feature felt like joining a secret club, especially for kids who stayed up late with popcorn and blankets. The movies themselves ranged from black and white classics to cheesy low-budget productions, but the host's charm made every episode unforgettable. As cable television expanded and national networks took over, local hosts faded from the airwaves, leaving behind a beloved piece of television history. And while creature feature hosts entertained families with ghoulish fun, another disappearing classroom tool once taught students in a way that felt just as cinematic. Film strip players in elementary schools were an essential part of classroom learning long before digital projectors arrived. Teachers wheeled in a small machine that threaded thin strips of film containing dozens of still images. As the film advanced, a soft beep signaled when it was time to move to the next frame. Students watched closely as pictures appeared on the pull-down screen, often accompanied by a narrator's voice telling the story or explaining the lesson. The clicking rhythm of the projector and the glow of the images created a unique atmosphere that students still remember today. Teachers stored the film strips in labeled boxes, each one containing lessons on history, science, health, or safety. The process required patience, attention, and occasionally untangling stubborn strips. But as digital media became standard in classrooms, the film strip player quietly disappeared. And while film strips once filled classrooms with knowledge frame by frame, the next disappearing tradition filled parades with colorful creativity and homemade pride. These memories remind us of a time when life felt simpler and everyday moments left a lasting mark. Even though many of these things have disappeared, the feelings they created still stay with us. If you enjoyed this walk through the past and want more trips down memory lane, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next journey back in time.